My name is Naomi from the blog thevirtuoushome.com. Today I'm showing you how to make an easy sourdough sandwich bread. Let's start by gathering our ingredients and equipment. You'll need a bubbly sourdough starter, flour, I've got some wheat berries I'm going to mill, but any unbleached flour will do, filtered water, fat of some kind, salt, and honey. You'll need a scale, but I'll also include cup measurements for those who prefer that. And finally, you'll need a bowl to mix everything in. I'm going to use my bread machine pan since that's what I use as a mixer right now. Now I'm going to weigh out my wheat berries and get that milled. For all my fresh milled flour friends, I'm weighing out 550 grams of hard red wheat, which includes an extra 100 grams to feed my starter with. While I do that, I just want to mention that I'm not using my bread machine to bake this loaf. I'm only using it to mix the dough. If you're looking for an affordable mixer, you might want to consider getting a bread machine. Although I do bake a loaf in it every once in a while, I use it mostly as my mixer for all my bread doughs. It's a fraction of the cost of a mixer, but works super well. I have the Amazon Basics bread machine if you're interested. While that's milling, let's measure out the rest of the ingredients. You'll need 100 grams or 3/4 of a cup of sourdough starter, 300 grams or 1 1/4 cup of filtered water, 40 grams or 3 tablespoons of fat. I like to use a single origin olive oil, but I've also used butter or coconut oil in this recipe as well, whatever you prefer. 6 grams or 1 teaspoon of sea salt, and 1 to 2 tablespoons of honey. I honestly don't measure the honey out because it isn't necessary for a good bread, but it does add a little flavor and give your starter something extra to feed on. I love milling my own flour. There are a lot of health benefits to it, but I honestly do it because I love the art of working with fresh ingredients. I've made this recipe for several years with already milled flour from the store, and it was great, but there is something delightful about working with fresh milled flour. For this recipe, I use 450 grams of flour, which comes out to 3 3/4 cup. Now it's time to mix the dough. I'm going to add the dough to my bread machine to mix and let it rest for an hour. I do 2 kneading cycles just to make sure it mixes well. If you're using a mixer, you can mix it for about 15 minutes on medium speed, or if you prefer it, you can do 3 series of 4 stretch and folds, roughly 30 minutes to an hour apart. I've used all 3 different methods at different seasons in my life with good results. That's it for the ingredients, so now I'm going to take care of my sourdough starter. I feed my sourdough starter with 100 grams of flour and 100 grams of water. This is equal measurements in weight, but it comes out to 3/4 of a cup of flour and 1/2 cup of water, since water weighs more than fluffy flour. Like I said, I've used already milled flour from the store, but nothing will beat how much a sourdough starter loves fresh milled flour. It soaks it up and bubbles up definitely faster than store-bought flour. If you want to know more about how I maintain my sourdough starter and use it straight from the fridge, check out my previous video, the No Discard Sourdough Starter. The dough is done, and I have left it to rest for about 30 minutes to an hour to autolyze or absorb the water. Now it's time to shape it. You'll need a loaf pan, and I'm going to add some wet parchment paper to it. Does anyone else struggle with their baked loaf not wanting to come out of the bread pan, or is it just me? Also, getting the parchment paper wet makes it more pliable so it's easier to work with and to fit into the loaf pan. To make working with the dough a little easier, you'll want to flour or oil your hands. I much prefer to oil my hands. An extra bit of moisturizer never hurts. Remove the dough from the pan. Now I'm just going to quickly tuck the edges of the dough under to make it into more of a rectangular shape to fit into the loaf pan easier. And then press it out evenly into the corners so it will rise evenly. Cover it with some plastic wrap to keep the air out while it rises. If you don't seal it, it'll form a skin or harden the top layer. Then set it aside to rise for a couple of hours. We're going to eat this for dinner tonight, so I'm only letting it rise for 2 to 3 hours so that it will have plenty of time to bake and cool by then. You could totally do it for longer though. How long I leave it to rise depends on the day and how early in the day I got the dough started. Some days it's longer and some it's shorter. Just make it work for you and your schedule. I'm going to preheat the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Stick it in the oven to bake, and then set the timer for 45 minutes. And it's done. Let the loaf cool for at least 30 minutes in the pan before removing it and slicing it, or else the middle will be doughy. It'll still be hot after 30 minutes, but you can go ahead and slice it if you like to slather butter on hot bread like I do. There is very little that is more delightful than a piece of warm, homemade bread with butter. Thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already, please like or consider subscribing, and I'll see you all next time with more sourdough recipes.